Good morning, everyone. We are to continue lesson 8 of your book Peace Settlement After the World War I. As we know that Germany surrendered in 1918, an armistice was signed between the winning and the losing countries. Paris Peace Conference was held to maintain international peace and security. Treaty of Versailles was the document which was signed on Paris Peace Treaty. Article 231 of Versailles Treaty declared Germany responsible for the World War, so it has to pay $33 billion as war reparation to allied countries, and League of Nations was formed. Before we start with the topic, let's discuss the objectives of the topic. Objectives of the topic: peacemaking process after the First World War. The Peace Conference of Paris portrait of world leaders. The Treaty of Versailles and its terms. Other peace treaties. The German objections against the Versailles Treaty, merits and demerits of Versailles settlement. Justification of Versailles Treaty, causes of its failure. Origin and growth of ideas of League of Nations. The structures, functions and objects of League of Nations. Success, weakness and achievements of League of Nations and causes of failure of League of Nations. In this module, we are going to discuss the Treaty of Versailles and other peace treaties. Before starting the topic, let's discuss the new words. Apprehended, to be afraid of. Idealism, the philosophy which is based on justice for all. Plebiscite, the system of voting where people decide about their nationality. Conscription, compulsory enlistment for a state service. Deposed, to be dethroned from the office or throne. Let's discuss the Treaty of Versailles, which became a basis for maintaining peace after the First World War. The Treaty of Versailles and its terms. The peacemakers at Paris were in a difficult position to settle the peace terms with Germany. Lloyd George felt satisfied that Germany's sea power was destined to go to the bottom of the sea, and the British colonies were now safe from the German attack. The three big leaders of the world, Lord George from England, Clemenceau from France, and American President Wilson, found it difficult to settle the peace terms with Germany. Lord George, who was the Prime Minister of England, was satisfied that Germany's sea power was to be reduced, and by that the British colonies would be safe from the German attack. But France was apprehended that in no time Germany would re-attack France for the fourth time. Keeping this point in view, Clemenceau wanted imposition of hard terms on Germany. Ultimately, a compromise between French security, American idealism, and British practicalism led to drafting of Versailles Treaty with Germany. France, who had been traditional enemy of Germany, feared that with passage of time, Germany would again become powerful and would attack France for the fourth time. So, Clemenceau, who was the Prime Minister of France, wanted some harsh term to be imposed on Germany so that Germany could not attack on any power in future. Ultimately, a compromise was made between the big three leaders of the world. A compromise was finally reached between American idealism of Wilson, the French fear of security presented by Clemenceau, and British practicalism of Lord George. So, Treaty of Versailles was signed with Germany. Let's discuss the terms of Treaty of Versailles in detail. Here is a document of the Treaty of Versailles. Firstly, we will discuss what were the terms of Treaty of Versailles on the Western Front for Germany. Alsace and Lorraine were to be returned by Germany to France for historical justice. The Saar Valley, the coal districts, were to be administered by League of Nations at present for 15 years. Students, we have discussed the places of France, Alsace and Lorraine many times. In the last lesson also we have discussed it as one of the reasons that why First World War started. Alsace and Lorraine were the places of France and they were rich in the coal mines. In a war of 1870-71 between Prussia and France, Germany has captured Alsace and Lorraine. Now, after the First World War and by the Treaty of Versailles, the Alsace and Lorraine were finally returned to France to justify the historical wrong what Germany has done with France. The Saar Valley, this was another place which were famous for its coal mines, were to be administered by League of Nations, an international organization which was formed after the First World War to create peace in the world. And the League of Nations was given control over the Saar Valley for 15 years. After the expiry of this period of 15 years, the fate of Saar Valley was to be decided by a plebiscite. In the meantime, France would use its coal mines. According to Treaty of Versailles, the Saar Valley was to be handed over to League of Nations for 15 years, and after the ending of this period, there would be a plebiscite that would decide the fate of Saar Valley. Plebiscite is a system of voting where people decide that they want to be a part of which territory. In meantime, in those 15 years of time, the coal mines of Saar Valley would be utilized by France. On the Belgian front, Germany surrendered Eupen, Malmedy and Morsnet to Belgium for later security. Rhineland of Germany became a demilitarized zone, a buffer between France and Germany. According to Treaty of Versailles, Germany has to give up many of its territories. It has to hand it over Eupen, Malmedy and Morsnet to Belgium for Belgium security. Rhineland of Germany became demilitarized. That means army was not allowed to be at Rhineland, and Rhineland became a buffer state between France and Germany. Buffer state is a place, it's a small place between two giant big countries in order to protect the invasion of one country on another country. So Rhineland was an area between France and England so that both the countries would not attack each other in future. Now let's discuss the terms of Treaty of Versailles for Germany on northern front. The province of North Schleswig with predominant Danish population would be returned to Denmark for historical justice. Before the First World War, Germany had captured the place of North Schleswig and it has captured it from Denmark in a war. After a period of 60 to 65 years, this place was returned to Denmark to justify the wrong done by Kaiser William II and Bismarck, and Denmark was given justice. On your screen, you can see the map of Germany after the First World War and after the Treaty of Versailles. You can see the Rhineland area which was totally demilitarized, and we can also see the areas lost by Germany as Poland, East Prussia and Alsace and Lorraine. The province of Holzbig with predominant German population would be kept with Germany. Though Germany has to surrender many of its territories according to Treaty of Versailles, but the world leaders kept in view that the place where the Germans would be in majority should be handed over to Germany only. Since in the province of Holzbig, mainly the population were the Germans, it was dominated by the German population, so this place was kept under only the German territory. The Treaty of Versailles on the Eastern Front. It was decided according to the 14 points of Wilson that Poland would be made an independent state. Poland would be connected with the Baltic Sea by a corridor running through Germany's province of East Prussia. Based on the 14 points of Wilson, it was decided that new independent state of Poland would be framed on the map of Europe. Poland was to be connected with the Baltic Sea by a corridor running through Germany's province of East Prussia. Just see the map of Europe after the Treaty of Versailles. Poland was created out of Germany and made an independent sovereign state. The corridor would join with Germany with the port of Danzing on the Baltic Sea. Germany would hand over the port of Danzing to the League of Nations and would be free from Polish control. The new independent independent state Poland would join Germany with the port of Danzing. Port of Danzing was the port which was very important for Germany for commercial purpose. And now it was decided that Germany would hand over the port of Danzig to League of Nations and would not control any area where Polish community were in majority. Apart from the above territorial clauses, there were many military and economic clauses which were there in the Treaty of Versailles. The biggest military clause was that Germany was to be demilitarized. Germany was not allowed to have any army. A country which thought of winning the First World War and became the world leader was declared that she would not allow to keep any army. We had already discussed that Germany have to lost two important places, Alsace and Lorraine, to France. North Schleswig has to be handed over to Denmark and Upper Silesia to Poland. Germany's total land loss was 16%, and Germany minorities now were there in Czechoslovakia. Now the military terms, army was restricted to only 1 lakh. Kaiser William II was declared as the war criminal, and it was told that Germany and Austria would not make any union in future. Germany could keep only 1 lakh forces to keep law and order. Germany's army, navy and air force were totally disbanded. Germany was allowed to maintain only 1 lakh forces, and that also to be deployed inside the Germany to maintain law and order situation in Germany. It could not deploy its army on the frontiers to fight with the other country. So Germany's navy, army and air force were totally disbanded. They were not allowed to operate from Germany. Mass conscription and compulsory military training in Germany was banned because Germany was declared guilty of war and violation of international laws. Germany could not produce war materials and produced no air force and submarines. Compulsory military training, which was started in Germany before First World War, was totally banned from Germany, as all the nations, especially the Allied countries, declared that Germany alone was responsible for the First World War. And Germany has violated the international laws by attacking on U-boat where the American citizens were also traveling. Germany could not produce any war material. There was total disarmament imposed on Germany, and Germany could not produce any air force, and she was not allowed to have even a single submarine with her. The Treaty of Versailles, according to Article 231, declared that Germany was guilty for the First World War. Germany forced to pay unspecific sum in reparation to the victors. Germany lost all overseas colonies. 5-year ban was there on protective tariffs. There was loss of natural resources in the Saar region. About 75% of iron ore was given to France. Economically, Germany was declared guilty for starting a war. The Reparation Commission fixed the amount payable by Germany was £6,600 million. Germany's colonies were liquidated and brought under the mandate of League of Nations. It was declared in the Treaty of Versailles that Germany was responsible for starting the First World War. The Reparation Commission of the Treaty of Versailles declared that Germany would pay £66 million as war indemnity. Germany's colonies were taken away from her and brought under the League of Nations. Germany's trading privileges in Morocco, China and Africa were ended. It was also declared that German Emperor Kaiser William II was a war criminal. Before First World War, Germany was having exclusive rights to trade in Morocco, which is in Africa, China, an Asian country, and most of the countries of Africa. It was declared by the Treaty of Versailles that the German Emperor Kaiser William II, who was responsible for the First World War, was a war criminal. The creation of League of Nations in 1919, according to Treaty of Versailles, was an important step to maintain international peace and security. In the Versailles Treaty, it was decided that the League of Nations was to be immediately set up to protect the status quo of the treaty system of 1919. In order to see that the Treaty of Versailles and its term and the other treaties would remain stable and nobody could challenge it, it was decided that an international organization called League of Nations was to be immediately set up. The work of the League of Nations was to maintain peace in the world and to see the status quo of Treaty of System of 1919. Status quo means the work of League of Nations was to see that all the countries would abide by the treaty system of 1919. League of Nations was established in January 10, 1920, composed of 42 participants, aimed to reduce weapon arsenal of several countries to prevent war by means of collective security and to settle the disputes among nations peacefully and with the help of diplomacy. Other than Treaty of Versailles, there were many other treaties which were signed to bring international peace and security in the world. The First World War came to an end with signing of armistice on November 11, 1918. Need was felt to sign an international treaty, so Treaty of Versailles was signed between Germany and Allied powers. The three big, Wilson, Lloyd George and Clemenceau, played an active role in it. The Treaty of Versailles was divided into 15 parts and 440 articles. There were some harsh steps imposed on Germany. She has to lose her 11 colonies in Africa. An army was reduced to 1 lakh. Treaty of Saint Germain was imposed on Austria and Hungary. The Treaty of Trianon was imposed against Hungary. The Treaty of Neuilly was imposed on Bulgaria. Then Turkey was also not spared. Against Turkey also, Wilsonian's Armenian plan was there. Austria-Hungary was divided into 2 parts, and against Romania, the Treaty of Bucharest was imposed. Other peace treaties: Treaty of Trianon with Hungary, Treaty of Bucharest with Romania, the Treaty of Neuilly with Bulgaria, Treaty of Sevres with Turkey. Other than Germany, there were many other countries which were a part of the Central Powers, and some other treaties were signed with these countries, like with Hungary, Treaty of Trianon was signed. Treaty of Bucharest was signed with Romania. The Treaty of Saint Germain was signed with Austria. Treaty of Neuilly with Bulgaria, and Treaty of Sevres was signed with Turkey. Later on, this Treaty of Sevres were replaced by the Treaty of Lausanne. The Treaty of Neuilly was signed with Bulgaria. According to that, Bulgaria had to pay the heavy war reparations. She lost Turkey, and they also lost many soldiers. They also lost their control over Greece and Yugoslavia. The Treaty of Saint Germain was signed with Austria. According to it, Austria had to accept disarmament and reparation paid as Germany had paid. The Habsburg Empire was divided into different states: Austria, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, and Yugoslavia. Population from other nationalities remained in Austria. It was directed that Austria would never try to form a union with Germany. The Austro-Hungarian Empire was dissolved and minority nations got independence. Thus, the state of Czechoslovakia was created with predominantly Czech and Slovak and a good number of German population. According to Treaty of Versailles, an ultimatum or warning was given to Austria that in future it would not form any sort of alliance or union with Germany. As Austria and Germany both were the big powers of the Central Power, so an effort was done to make these both the countries separate. The Austro-Hungarian Empire was dissolved, the Habsburg dynasty came to an end, and Austria and Hungary were made 2 separate countries. The state of Czechoslovakia was created out of Austria and Hungary, and here the population was the Czech and Slovak, and also some people of German community. Austro-Hungarian dual monarchy was dissolved and Hungary became independent. Austria likewise paid reparation to the Allies. The old kingdom of Serbia now grew into Yugoslavia. Many changes came in the map of Europe after the First World War, according to Treaty of Versailles. Austro-Hungarian dual monarchy. Monarchy is a system where the king used to rule. And in Austria-Hungary, Habsburg dynasty was ruling. So this monarchy came to be an end and Hungary was made an independent state. So Austria and Hungary got divided and Hungary got the status of independent state. Austria, like Germany, had to pay a war reparation to the Allied countries. The old kingdom of Serbia was given a new name called Yugoslavia. See on your screen, there's a map of Europe after the Treaty of Versailles. Austria-Hungary was divided. Austria remained now a small nation. Hungary was made separate. Romania, Yugoslavia, and Czechoslovakia all were declared independent states after the Treaty of Versailles. Mustafa Kemal Pasha opposed the Treaty of Sevres, which was signed with the Turkey. At last, the points of disputes were settled by the Treaty of Lausanne. Turkey became an independent sovereign state with a new boundary. A revolution emerged in Turkey under the leadership of Mustafa Kemal Pasha, who did not accept the Treaty of Sevres. There were many points of conflict between Turkey and the Allied countries, which were ultimately solved by the Treaty of Lausanne. And Turkey became an independent, sovereign state, a country which is internally and externally free with a new boundary. According to the Treaty of Lausanne of 1920, Turkey was recognized. Thrace, Anatolia, and Smyrna were made independent countries out of Turkey. Arab countries of Syria, Palestine, Iraq, and Arabia were brought under the League of Nations and granted to Anglo-French powers as mandates. Arab nationalism was recognized as historical force. Arab countries of Syria, Palestine, Iraq, and Arabia were given to League of Nations, and ultimately League of Nations handed over these countries to Alliance of England and France. Arab nationalism was recognized as a historical force. All the countries of Allied group respected Arab nationalism and gave full right to Arab countries to maintain their internal and external policies. These are the questions we have covered in today's module. What were the economic terms of the Treaty of Versailles? What were the results of the Treaty of Saint-Germain? And you have to write 2 military terms of Treaty of Versailles. If you want to search more, there's a YouTube link you can see on your screen and you can search more on this topic. With the help of this explanation and internet, you are advised to make the notes of the above topic. We'll meet you in next session. Till then, have a nice day.